How do you determine success in what you're doing, in your work or your business? My guess is you're probably like everyone, and you determine success by the number of sales you've made, or billables, or your market share, perhaps the money in your bank account, or how big your house is and the square footage. Maybe it's what college your children are going to, or the jobs that they now have. And maybe you're like some and you've questioned what or whether that is a true measure of success. And maybe you have a slightly different concept, or you know that that's not a true measure of success. But my question is, if that's not the true measure of success, then what is? Well, that's what I want to share today, and some questions I've wrestled with about this recently. Welcome. My name is Andrea Brown. This is Thrival Now, a new YouTube channel and podcast where I'm committed to helping you go from survival to thrival in your finances so that you can be more, do more, and give more. I was at a really awesome business kind of conference called they called it a marketplace collab recently, and it was held at my church, so it was done from a very kind of kingdom business perspective. And I loved how this question came up. The concept was just, the question that was really thrown out was really, how do you determine success? And the one individual that was presenting this idea and shared that their definition of success was the number of transformed lives. And I loved that. And it was easy initially for me to run with that and think, oh, well, I've known I didn't want to measure success the way the world did. And I know there's another measure of success in the kingdom, but what does that look like and how do I apply it, you know? Well, it's interesting because it struck me later that it's all about your identity. How you measure success is very much based on what your true identity is. Who did God create you to be? What's your gifting and your talents? Because if you're not somebody who's supposed to be transforming things, then measuring success, as great as that sounded, that is not the right measuring stick. Because if you are a healer, you're somebody called to heal and bring healing where there's brokenness, then really your measuring stick should be the number of healed lives. If you are, if you're a listener, then maybe it's the number of people that you're listening to on a regular basis. If you are an encourager, then maybe it is the number of people that you have encouraged and the ways that you've encouraged them. And so my invitation is to consider, what is your identity? Who are you? How are you different than anyone else in all the world? And from that place of that identity, your identity is where your gifting and your talents and your calling lies. And the true measure of success is going to be based upon that. When I read the Bible, the stuff about God and money is just everywhere. Parable after parable has financial implications. And you know, what were Jesus's words? He was, I'm about my Father's business. And when one of the highest commendations in Scripture was given in one of the parables to, you know, saying, well done, good and faithful servant. Well, how did they get that commendation? It was because they were diligent with the talents, which were in the old days, or in the Hebrew, no, that would be in the Greek language, would have been known as like a talent was a weight of gold, or a weight of, you know, a measurement of monetary provision, I guess, and I believe it was gold. Well, wealth was measured in tangible metals, so precious metals, so silver or gold. And so a talent was a certain weight and an amount. And what did he do? He didn't bury it, but the ones that invested it and took a risk to get a return on that and profit were the ones that the master gave that commendation. Well done, good and faithful servant. And so I want to be somebody that God says, well done, good and faithful servant. I want to hear God say that about me, even on a daily basis, that I've done well with what he's given me. I just challenge you to begin to consider, how are you doing business with God? How are you doing your job with God? I appreciate you. Thanks so much for sharing your time with me. Please like, share, subscribe, follow, and leave reviews or comments on whatever platform you're on, whether it's watching or listening. And it means so much that you've tuned in, that you have shared part of your life today with me.